Good morning to all of you wonderful people who will be watching this come this Friday. First and foremost, I want to wish health, blessings, and prosperity to all that are listening and will be listening and who are part of the Halftime Podcast community. How you doing today, Coach?
Feeling great.
Feeling great? Got some sleep this weekend?
Yeah. Not last night. That's for damn sure. I was probably up till 3. Got up at 7:30. But you know, we move. We're here. We're energized.
You were moving?
No.
Oh.
We just move. We move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the reason you were up so late?
Um.
Never mind. Never mind. I'm glad you glad you had a good night, sir. All right.
Yeah.
Well, my weekend was pretty much not as pleasurable as yours, but it was a pretty good weekend. I had fun, just kind of hung out with family, did some cool things, and I obviously worked and stuff like that. This weekend is going to be busy yet again, so kind of looking forward to that, but also just need to understand that at some point I just have to be able to sit on my ass and just relax at some point, Coach. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I need it thoroughly.
Not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. But what episode is this, Coach?
Episode 43.
Episode 43. And man, I am excited. Who would have said from episode 1 that we will be all the way here at episode 43? Feels like just yesterday we first started and we were just trying to figure things out. But now we have things rocking and rolling. Are you ready to get into the show today?
Yeah, man. It's kind of crazy to think about. We started in like week 3 of the last NFL season.
Is that when we started? I thought we started
after the Colts game.
Really?
Yeah.
That was our first pod?
And then now we're here. Almost going into
almost getting ready for another football season, which will mark somewhat of our first year anniversary. So I'm very excited about that. What are we going to do for our first year anniversary?
Secret.
That's a secret.
Yeah,
all right. I know for sure we got to turn up a little bit. I might come in here a little boozed. Just a little boozed. Just letting you know. All right, you ready to get into it, Coach?
Let's do it, man.
All right. You already know how it goes, how we start off. It's the halftime give and go. You know the rules, and the rules must apply. First, it's on me. Angel Reese for the Chicago Sky. I want to show you a little bit of love. You have been balling and playing very, very well as of late, leading your teams to some unpredictable wins and some of them kind of predictable, but you have been doing exactly what I was hoping that you would do, turn your season around and finally figure out the exact role that your coach and team is looking for you to participate in, which is a point forward playmaking player for your team, and you have been excelling in it as of late. All right, moving on to the next person I want to discuss, Sabrina Ionescu. I just want to give her some love because she is holding down the New York Liberty as well as her teammates, Breanna Stewart and everybody else that's over there. Also, she just recently won the 3-point contest for the WNBA All Star, and she once again reigns as the 3-point champ in the WNBA. And I'm excited to see if the New York Liberty will have a chance this season to repeat as champions as they did last year, but time will tell, and we'll be here to watch and see if it happens. All right, Coach, on you. TJ Watt gets his contract. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a 3-year, $123 million extension.
Woo!
We knew he was going to be asking at least $1 more than Myles Garrett. I wasn't expecting $1 million more per year.
Yeah.
But it's definitely deserving. He's been one of the most prolific edge rushers we've seen over the past decade.
Yes.
And Pittsburgh needs this guy. He's a part of their culture, and if they let him walk, there would have been real questions of their GM over there, and I'm sure the fans would want his head.
Yeah, they would. All right, Coach, Damian Lillard returns home. What are your thoughts about that? We'll get into it a little bit more, but just really briefly, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a 3-year, $41 million contract.
41 or 42?
41. It was like
Okay.
41 and a half, something like
Yeah.
that. But no, I mean it's a great contract. It's a great opportunity for Dame. I think just to come back to Portland and now with a better roster surrounding him. Which we'll get into later. But
Arguably a better roster.
It's gonna be fun to watch. I mean, I think he needs to be somewhere where he could be ball dominant, and this is gonna be the opportunity for him to kind of revitalize what we once knew Dame to be.
All right, and last but not least, well, not last, but last for you, Bradley Beal back to LA. Not back to, but going to LA with the Clippers. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, a 2-year, $11 million deal, just a buyout with the Suns, which are going to be paying over $20 million a year for the next 5 years or something like that. This is great for Bradley. This is great for LA. I love this move. It's a move you predicted yourself a couple weeks ago. And yeah, here you go. Give a pat on your shoulder. But great move for both parties. I think Bradley is really going to fit into that team there. And LA needed him.
Yeah.
LA needed a scorer.
I agree. And last but not least is back on me. Chris Paul, CP3 goes to the Clippers as well. Now, this is the player that's going back to where kind of his legend began. Obviously, his legend began in New Orleans where we saw CP3, but the real blossoming of how he became the point guard and created Lob City was with the Los Angeles Clippers. And it's nice to see that he's going back. This will be considerably his last season, his final year. And if it were to be a situation where he were to go out and win a championship, I'm glad that he's back with the Clippers who have a roster where it looks like they have a potential to be a championship team. All right, Coach. This is episode 43, and we're doing something a little different today. Normally, we would play our game. Normally, we would do that.
Yeah.
But so much has been going on this week that we decided that we would kind of alleviate the game just for today, because we obviously will get back to it another episode, because we love playing our game, Who's Cooking and Who Should Stay Out the Kitchen. But due to the week that we've had and due to all the things that has happened, we felt like it was time for us to give a little bit more discussion. But first and foremost, we want to remind everybody to please follow us at the Halftime Pod on our YouTube channel. We want to know, we want you guys to connect with us, hit that notification bell, subscribe, because we see that you're liking, we see that you're commenting, and we'll get into that later in the show because we have a great comment that we want to talk about and respond to. But we just need you to click that notification bell on our YouTube, as well as following me and Coach individually on our Instagram accounts. If you want to have conversations with us, or if you want to reach out to us about any athletic discussions as far as your athletes wanting to get training, skill development, wanting to join AAU clubs, or just any conversations that you want to have about basketball in general, we're more than willing and accepting of any of you who want to reach out to us. And you can follow Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ, and you can follow me at Coach M_got it. All right, Coach, you ready to move into it?
Let's go right into it, man.
Let's go right into it. Let's move into the halftime report. Oh, I love it when this music comes on. It just makes me feel like I got some shit to say. Because I do got some shit to say.
Let me hear it.
All right, first and foremost, let's start off with the NFL. Will Levis will be out for the season, dealing with I guess a shoulder injury, a nagging shoulder injury that just won't go away.
On his throwing arm.
Throwing arm, yeah, that just won't go away. And I guess his team is saying that it would be best for Will to go ahead and just, get a clean surgery, get it all fixed up, make sure that nothing is ailing and bothering him so he can come back next season healthy and ready to compete. As much as I believe he is hurt, I also believe that he is also spiritually, mentally, and emotionally hurt. Mm-hmm. And that is because the Tennessee Titans drafted Cam Ward this season as the number 1 pick, which should have let Will Levis know right out the gate that we do not believe that you are our franchise guy. We are going to put you in a heavy competition, and at any moment where we slightly see that we don't think that you are the guy, we will bring this kid Cam Ward in to replace you right away. Now, some people projected that Cam Ward was already going to beat out Will Levis from the jump and be the starting quarterback right out the gate, but Many people also thought that Will Levis would have a shot, being that, it would be his sophomore season. He would be a little bit more in the system. And so there was obviously a chance with his maturity in the system and having an additional year in the NFL for him to have a chance to be the starter based upon his experience. But now that he's going to be out for this entire season, rehabbing and getting himself back into position, a part of me believes that this was a decision made by his camp due to the fact that they saw a little bit of the writing on the wall. There's a little bit of feeling a little butthurt and possibly being able to stick it to Tennessee and just say, no, you're not going to have me sitting around looking over my back 24/7 just waiting on me to make a mistake so you can put this kid in. Go ahead and put him in. And if he fails, now I have an opportunity to come back and be the savior. If he doesn't, then we know going forward, then I have a chance to try to go fight for an opportunity somewhere else. What are your thoughts on the Will Levis situation?
Yeah, I mean, sad to hear that he's hurt, of course. It doesn't surprise me that the whole kind of Cam Ward conversation is happening. I mean, it was supposed to be a position battle during training camp.
Yeah.
I don't really believe that it would have been.
Why do you think Will Levis would have had it, or you thought it was going to Cam Ward?
I think it was going to Cam Ward. I mean,
Okay.
you don't take a quarterback at number 1 overall and not play him. You know what I mean? His first year. And I don't know. I could see this being good news for Will Levis as far as him not getting the starting job. I don't think there was any more room for growth in Tennessee for him. I do believe once his contract is up, he will depart. And I could honestly see his situation kind of ending up being like a Sam Darnold type situation
where he goes somewhere else.
Yeah, he goes somewhere else, and maybe he doesn't succeed at first, but then boom, he gets the opportunity with a good offensive coordinator or a QB coach that could really get him right, because the kid's got arm talent. Like, got an immense amount of arm talent.
I like him going to Pittsburgh and trying to compete there.
Yeah, he's just he doesn't necessarily have the greatest football IQ, you could say, at the quarterback position. He's made some very questionable plays, but wishing him a speedy recovery, of course. It's good that they're kind of just telling him to take the season off essentially and take his time, rehab correctly, because I think it will be very important for him coming next season. If he decides to stay with Tennessee or would like to be traded elsewhere, that he is at 100% health. Because if you let a lingering injury just carry on, affects your play, and then next thing you know, you're out of the league. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'll be. I think he's on a path, like you said, similar to Sam Darnold. I don't think he'll be out the league that quickly because he was a first round pick?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think he was a first round pick for Tennessee. So I don't see him necessarily being out of the league. Usually those first round pick quarterbacks get, a few chances after chances before the league finally says, like, okay, we really completely got it wrong with you. So we'll let you just kind of exit stage. Like, he was a second round pick. Yeah. That's still fairly high. So he'll still get a chance. Not as much as a first round quarterback pick, but he'll still get a chance to kind of linger around and get a chance to show and prove himself before the league just finally says they're done. I do think that this does something for Cam Ward. It does relieve a little bit of it relieves pressure but adds pressure. So simultaneously it relieves pressure because he doesn't have to worry about competing with a guy that's just salivating and waiting for him to make mistakes to try to take his place. But now that Will Levis is out of the picture, then it's solely on Cam Ward to produce. So now you have to show and prove why you were the number 1 overall pick, why you were the guy that Tennessee decided that they needed to put their hopes and dreams in, and you have to go out there and showcase a little bit as to what made them believe that you were the one versus them, trading out of that position and doing all of these other things that people kind of, I won't say projected, but they thought that Tennessee would have an opportunity to do that they didn't, and they just decided to go with Cam. So I hope speedy recovery to Will. I hope that he is in a good mental space. I hope his rehab goes well. I hope that he returns back 100% healthy. And if it's not in Tennessee, I hope that he gets a shot somewhere else. Absolutely. Anything else you want to add on Will?
No, I mean, nothing really on Will, but I do agree with you. Like, I think there is an immense amount of pressure on Cam Ward.
Yeah.
maybe not as much as, of course, like Caleb and all these other guys that were coming out of the draft last year,
Yeah.
because we kind of know the state of the roster that Tennessee has.
They're building. They're rebuilding.
They're still rebuilding. So there isn't really high expectations for him, which is a win-win for him. If
I think there's high expectations for him. I don't think there's high expectations for Tennessee.
Right, but then you could always just kind of point the blame in year one and be like, oh, well, I had to throw it to this guy, when other guys get to throw.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
You could always point fingers elsewhere.
Yeah, you can. It is definitely different than what Caleb walked into, which is why Caleb got a little bit more scrutiny than what Cam will get. But I do think there's still some pressure on Cam to show why he was the number one pick. I don't know what that will technically equate to. Like, what is it that people will be looking for exactly to see from him? I just know that there will be some form of like show and prove why you were the number one pick. Tennessee, as far as an organization and a team, nobody should be expecting them to have like a Houston Texans run with CJ or like what Jaden Daniels did with Washington. Nobody should expect that type of record and run from the Tennessee Titans, at least in my perspective. But they should at least be able to watch Cam Ward and say, okay, we get it. We just need to build around this guy. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the NBA. Let's move into the summer league. Stand on the young guys. Let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets, who ended up being the Summer League 2K26 champions. Concanoople ended up being the finals MVP for that particular game, the Summer League Champion League MVP. And then Kyle Filipowski, he ended up being the Summer League MVP for the entire summer. So what are your thoughts about Charlotte? Do you believe that with Charlotte winning this Summer League championship, and I think this is the first time that they actually participated in the full Summer League. From what I heard like tidbits, just like a little information. I think it was somebody was just spitballing information during the Summer League game, but they said this was the first time that Charlotte has actually participated in the full Summer League or anything like that, or at least went to Vegas. I'm sure they've done some exhibition stuff, but this is the first time that they organized to go to Vegas and they won a championship. Does this mean that the Charlotte Hornets are turning a organizational culture? Like, are they turning the corner as a culture for the organization, as far as not being so much of bottom feeders, not having any expectations for winning? Or is this just, Summer League luck? Charlotte just showed up for the first time, a little hungrier than other teams, maybe a little bit more well put together as a team, and that's why they won the Summer League, but it has no bearing or any merit or any type of, like, I guess, outlook or input on what type of changes are happening within the Charlotte's Hornets organization.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see some bright spots in that Summer League roster, but at the same time, like, at one point Chicago won the Summer League, and it's like,
I think we were like one of the first teams to win the Summer League.
You know what I mean?
Like,
so it's like, I
haven't won since, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's like a showcase of some of the young talent you have, but it's also like some of these kids just go on runs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they go on hot streaks, and other higher picks, like, I mean, Cooper Flagg stopped playing. Like, Ace Bailey, I'm pretty sure, stopped playing as well.
Yeah, I think they shut him down after like 1 or 2 games.
So I mean, like, a lot of these top picks were shut down quite early, and it was honestly nice to see Concanoople play all the way until the end. I feel like that's what all.
And he had the Band-Aid over the eyebrow with the cut.
And he was hustling, man.
Out there looking like Rocky.
Bro, a top 5 pick, diving after the basketball like that in a Summer League game, like, I think that just shows the type of player he's going to be for Charlotte.
But you know what? I love that because it sets a tone for what should be happening. Like, it sets a bad precedent for what the expectations are going to be for these top athletes when you're already holding them out of Summer League games and holding them out of this and holding them out of it's like, come on, man. Like, you're already treating them like they're fine china, and they have done nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing in the league.
They have done nothing. They haven't done anything in the Summer League. It took Cooper, no offense, it took him like 2 games before he even showed us truly like, okay, this is why you were the number one pick.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, we're treating these guys like fine china early on, and it's like, come on, man, you're setting a bad tone for what they should be expecting on this elite level for how they're going to be handled. And it's like, I don't like it, but I like Khan playing all the way through. I think Jeremiah Fears didn't get shut down. Derek Queen ended up getting hurt, so that's why he got shut down.
Yeah, if he's out for like a decent amount of time.
Yeah,
as
I think
well.
they're expecting him to come back like beginning of like training camp type of thing.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, but that's what they're expecting. But sticking on Charlotte, so as far as a culture, you don't think this says anything about any culture change for Charlotte, or do you just think it's just what it was? Summer League team put together, they just caught a little streak and they ended up winning the chip.
I mean, I think it's a little bit like of a culture change. Like you could see it kind of trending towards the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Charlotte has been doing. Like, I mean, I like what they have. I like LaMelo. I like Brandon Miller. If they keep Mark Williams, I think he's a great player if he can stay healthy. And now you add a guy like Concanopo who could play defense, who could shoot the three ball, who's going to hustle for you. That's a pretty decent, starting rotation. And then, add in some of these summer league guys, if you could develop them and, have them working off the bench, Charlotte could be a playoff team anytime soon, especially with how the East is looking.
Now, who does Charlotte has as their center, just really fast?
Is Mark Williams.
I thought they traded him.
No, remember he was supposed to be traded to LA, but he failed the physical, so the trade didn't go through.
But then they trade him again to somebody else?
I don't think so. Let me, I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, because, look it up real quick, because I'm thinking about their roster, and I'm thinking, you have
You're right. He got traded in the draft.
Yeah, draft
to
day.
Phoenix.
To Phoenix.
Yes.
And because Phoenix have the guy from Duke, and they also got Mark Williams now as their centers.
Yeah.
So who is their starting center now?
That is a good question.
But I'm thinking about their roster, and you have LaMelo Ball, Concanopo, Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller. They really got a good solid team a good solid starting lineup.
They still got Miles Bridges. Mason Plumlee probably steps in and
then they trade Yusuf Nurkic too. Didn't they also have him as their center or something like that?
I forget, but as they got guys like Trey Mann, Spencer Dinwiddie, Colin Sexton, Josh Green, Grant Williams. Like they got some depth on that team.
No, they got great depth, team, but I don't. Who is their center
right now? It's Mason Plumlee or Ryan Kalkbrenner or Musa Diabate. One of those three.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they have nobody.
Not really, no.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they have depth at every other position except center, and maybe they just don't think that they need it with the fact they don't need a dominant center with the fact that they have so much forward and guard play that they can get a lot out of.
I think
maybe that's what it is.
I think personally that team just needs like a lob threat and a defending big. Which Mark Williams
which is what Mason Plumlee does really well.
True, and Mark Williams was doing that too, but at the same time
he was hurt a lot.
He couldn't play. He couldn't stay on the floor. You know what I mean? So
okay. I will say this. I do think that Charlotte is having a culture change. I do think that they are turning things around. And I think this is the start of the genesis of what that looks like. Them coming into Summer League, taking it very seriously, being on point, wanting to win, the hunger and the desire. I think those type of things are transferable, and those things can translate at the NBA level, and those are the things that you can preach. And I think it sets a tone, right? If you're one of the veteran Charlotte Hornet guys and you're seeing your young guys out there go out there, get the job done, they walking around with rings and stuff like that, because it is a big deal now, the Summer League championship. They get a trophy, they get an MVP, rings. They get real rings. It's not like they walking around with like fake jewelry or nothing like that. They're not cosplaying championship, you know what I'm saying? They're not cosplaying the NBA finals. Like, these kids are really walking around with real jewelry that they have won. And so when they walk into that Charlotte Hornets locker room as the young guys, as champions, they get to flex a little bit. They get to walk around with their rings and flex on the LaMelos, the Miles Bridges, the Colin Sextons, the Mason Plumlees, the individuals there who have not seen or tasted any type of success on the NBA level of winning like that. So they actually get to walk in and be like, yo, in our level, we got it done. Like, what are y'all going to do? Like, what's the tone of y'all setting around here? So I do think it can motivate and inspire a little bit more. And so with the way that the East is shaking up with the fact that you got Indiana in limbo because of Halliburton and also losing Miles. You got obviously the Bulls not being nothing. You got Milwaukee reshaping itself. You don't really know what it's going to be. The health of the 76ers is always in question. Really, the teams in Boston with Jason Tatum being now, I'm not saying that Boston is just going to fall off the map, but they won't be as potent.
And trading Drew Holiday.
And trading Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford potentially being. Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's a lot of big moves.
It's a lot of difference. Yeah. So it leaves room for teams like the Charlottes, the Miamis, the Clevelands, the New Yorks. And I guess you still throw Milwaukee in there with Giannis. And did I mention Orlando? Right. So that becomes like your nucleus, your six in the East that kind of like, kind of volleys to be like the top teams in the East. So I think Charlotte gets a chance this season. And so we'll see exactly how that goes. All right. Anything else that you want to have on Charlotte or say anything about Charlotte or anything else you got?
No, man. It'd be cool to see them kind of perform well. I've always been a fan of LaMelo since he was in high school.
Yeah. I just like their jerseys are fly too, especially the
that
throwbacks.
too, man. Yeah. I do appreciate the move back to Charlotte in the first place. So
and the Charlotte Hornets jerseys and the throwbacks and their colorway is fire, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think they were probably one of the best top selling starter jackets back when like starter was like really going crazy. Obviously, you had the Bulls. And you had the Lakers, New York, but I think Charlotte was probably right in that mix with like Miami. Yeah, it was probably like those top five: Bulls, New York, Lakers, Charlotte, and Miami. All right, let's stay on basketball, but let's pivot to the WNBA. Because this is a topic that has been making waves as of late because the WNBA All Stars decided to make a statement at the WNBA All Star Game. So prior to the game beginning and the beautiful ladies coming out to play, they decided to wear T-shirts that said "Pay us what you owe us," and there has been some. I can't take you seriously because you almost laughed, and now I'm trying to figure out exactly what you're gonna say, and oh, this is so funny. Okay, so with that being said, they came out saying "Pay us what you owe us." They are clearly in a collective bargaining agreement that they're trying to reestablish. I think this is the end of the year. I think at the end of this season, it's the last year of their current CBA. And so they're looking to obviously put together another CBA going forward. Apparently, the talks with the WNBA between the Players Association and the WNBA has not been going well at all. And the players actually feel like they have been disrespected by the WNBA as far as what they're asking for. Now, I looked into this a little bit more, and apparently, due to a new TV rights deal that the WNBA has secured, it's I think upwards of an amount of about $2.2 billion that they have secured as far as over the next 5 to 10 years of rights for TV viewership for WNBA games. And so because of this new $2.2 billion that's coming in, the WNBA players are looking at that as additional revenue that the WNBA is securing. And so due to that, they are asking for a spike in their percentage of the revenue share. The argument that the WNBA as an organization is pushing back on is saying that for the longest we have been operating in the red. For the longest we have been operating as a failed company, but just due to the nature and the money that the NBA has and is able to keep this league afloat, that is really the only reason why the WNBA has been able to last the time that it has been lasting. Is really due to the NBA basically funneling money and making sure that there are certain things there to keep the league going. Now that the $2.2 billion has been secured, well, quotation marks secured, the WNBA is basically saying this is money that is kind of taking up for the losses that has incurred from the NBA and from anybody else that has been investing into this league. And so therefore, by giving the WNBA players a spike in revenue share, that would turn around to still be more money lost than it would be about, resetting the books and getting things back even. The WNBA players are not necessarily interested in hearing that, and I can understand it from their perspective of feeling like they've put in the time, the blood, sweat, tears, the work, the effort, the fact that they don't make as much, the fact that some of them have, a lot of summertime jobs and gigs, or have to rely on advertisement deals and things like that to kind of make up for more of the money that they're trying to make, lifestyles that they're trying to have. And someone can argue that that's just personal problems, right? You want the luxurious lifestyles or whatever the case may be. Some of them are not really saying that. They just feel like they're owed a little bit more due to the work that they have to put in as players for this league. I'm caught, in my opinion, between a rock and a hard place, because as an employee in certain situations, I have experience being very close to the what you call the C-suite, being really close to the CEO, the COO, the CFO, and really having direct conversations with them about the profits of a company, and then having those conversations and them using that as reasons as to why raises can't happen and different things can't occur. And as an employee, you don't really care to hear that, because in your mind, you're saying, well, although the company isn't making these profits that you guys want, it's not changing the salaries that you guys are taking home. It's not changing. And as an employee, although you don't have any bearing on that because they're paying you to do a job, right? You're still looking at it and saying, I have bills, I have family, groceries is going up, gas is going up, rent or whatever is going up. So the fact that my wage isn't going up is preposterous, but you still want me to either work as hard or work double to try to make sure that this company can still keep going, while simultaneously you haven't stopped having your private jets. You haven't stopped having your expensive dinners and lunches every single day. And that's not my business. They built this company, right? As an employee, you still have to recognize that they built this company so they can do with it as they want. But human empathy gives you a little bit of a, I guess, gall to be like, yo, you see what's going on out here. You see how unpleasant prices are. You're not going to help your employees be able to survive the tide of what's going on a little bit. Like, I know you can cut back on a few private jets. I know you can cut back on a few dinners. I know you can cut back a little bit. You know what I mean? But they don't. And they have all rights not to. So when I see this, I see the same tug and pull that I've experienced as an employee. It's the same dynamic. The WNBA players are they have the gall to ask for it because they're putting in the work, and they see owners have this and owners have that, and the WNBA is being supported by the NBA. So the people that creates the infrastructure of how this goes, it seems like they're all well taken care of. But us as the employees, the people who have to go out here night in and night out and work and put on a show and give people something to watch, it seems like we're getting the short end of the stick. And so people can sit there and go, that's just the way business works. And I'm all with you if anybody says that, because that is how business works. But I'm also a human being, and I have empathy, and I can see how, yeah, they should get a little bit of some of this additional revenue that is coming in. Whether how much, I don't know. What the percentage spike would be from, I think 9% is what they're getting right now. What the spike should be, I don't know. But that's my thoughts. I'm gonna let you have the floor to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the fact that, like, of course they would have a right to be upset. Like, I mean, you see all these different athletes getting paid so much money.
And other leagues.
Yeah, and then even if you were to compare WNBA to NBA, like I saw a graphic where it's like Caitlin Clark as the number one pick, bringing home $76,000 for her salary. Meanwhile, Wemby brought home like $12 million in the first year. I get why people kind of just look at the number and be like,
That's absurd.
yeah, but like, okay, let's also
Yeah.
compare revenue, right? So in the I did some research too. In the 23-24 season, the NBA brought home over $11 billion. The WNBA brought home between 180 to 200 million dollars. Tell me where these women are supposed to get this money from. And keep in mind, okay, this is 2 seasons ago, and granted, yes, the WNBA has gotten a lot more popular this year and last year. So the revenue share is actually, or the revenue being brought in, I think after this season, they're expecting over $1 billion, which is phenomenal. You know what I mean? Which is
Right.
great. But at the end
But
of
that
the day,
includes the TV rights deal that
exactly.
they put in.
And even despite that, they're still net to be losing $50 million this year. So like, it's just not been
because they have to level the books.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just not been a profitable league. It's been heavily supported by the NBA and their finances and all that thing. And look, I'd be all for paying the women whatever they would want, but there's just no money to do it. Like, the problem isn't that they don't want to pay. There's no money to do it. Like, if you want to, it's so expensive to uphold a team like that. Like, I don't even know what like the operating costs are for the Chicago Sky, right? But like, if we're talking about arena operations in the
Yeah.
Wintrust, you know what I mean, or like just flying planes,
Travels.
right? Travels,
Yeah,
like
food,
I mean,
trainers,
exactly, right? Like hotels,
facilities.
all that stuff. Like, if
It's a lot.
these
It's a
teams
lot.
aren't bringing in nearly as much money as NBA teams are, and you know they're still paying for all these things. I get it, like. You want to be paid more. I'd want to be paid more too. Than like if I'm playing professional basketball at that type of stage, but
Right.
there's just simply not there's no money to do that. Also, like I think it's important to keep in mind the NBA's been around 50 years longer than the WNBA
Yes,
has
and,
been.
and I think that's also something that isn't given enough credence to, is the fact that the NBA is a longer league. Like, there was a point in time where NBA players wasn't making money either.
Right, yeah.
There was a point in time where NBA players had to work, jobs in the off seasons. They had to go back to being plumbers and engine and electricians and truck drivers. The way JJ Redick loves to make fun of them. Right. They still had to participate in that faculty as well once upon a time, until the league got to a point where it was so healthy, so vibrant, after Magic Johnson and Larry Bird entered the picture and took it to a different level, took it off tape delay, got it to be live television. And then obviously when you enter Michael Jordan, who took it to a whole different level. And now the NBA is pretty much set off of the three pillars of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan. From that point on, NBA players are now able to receive the benefits of what those three men created. Not to mention, also, you still got Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain. I'm not trying to lessen them, but what I am just saying is that obviously Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan took the NBA to a whole different level. And I'm sure Dr. J and the rest of those guys would validate that and say that is true, right? So, with that being said, I think the WNBA players just need to, a part of them needs to really just recognize that there hasn't been enough years put into this league for them to make the type of money maybe that they're asking for. And I'm not saying that they're asking for the type of contracts that the NBA is getting.
Right.
What they're saying is they just want a bigger piece of the revenue pie. And I understand that. I get it. But again, what they also have to recognize is that they have not been operating as a profitable league. And so now, with the fact that the WNBA is capitalizing off of this spark that is Caitlin Clark, and this influx of interest that is coming to the league due to the Angel Reeses, the Caitlin Clarks, the rise of Aja Wilson, the New York Liberty team that is stacked, and then the entering of Paige Buchers and possibly Juju Smith when she comes in. Like, now that this interest has grown, the WNBA was able to capitalize off of that TV rights deal. But that deal is basically set to help them get out of the negative.
Finally get in the green.
Yeah, finally get into the green. Finally get out of the negative. That's what that is about. And I'm sure that is still contingent upon the WNBA proving that they can sustain this level of interest, or sustain it at bare minimum, but obviously improve it over time, right? And so this deal that they created is just more so in place to try to help them balance the books and get out of the negative. So while you're still trying to be a profitable league, you can't then, as a business and organization, say, here's more money to the players, because whether people like to admit it or not, the greatest expense to any company is payroll.
Yeah.
Whether people understand that, that's business 101. The greatest expense to any business is your payroll. Whenever companies are having issues, the first thing they do is start laying off employees. It's not because they just don't care about you. Some of them don't. But for the most part, it's usually because that's the greatest expense. The greatest expense is the people we pay. And so because of that, when we get into tight times as a business, we have to start consolidating and saying, what roles can we get rid of? What individuals can we say are not as essential, whatever the case may be? We saw this in COVID. People couldn't work and we had to classify jobs as essential workers and stuff like that. So it's like, that's what happens when times get tough. And the WNBA is still a league that's in tough times.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. So again, I'm not saying, like I said, as a human being having empathy, I get it. I understand it. You're working hard. You're doing all of these things. You're putting in the work. You're entertaining. You're getting, the fans that you have and people coming out to watch the games. So I can understand from that perspective, feeling like you're not getting what you are bringing to the table. Like you're not receiving the value in which you are giving in. But from a business side, you just got to recognize that the business hasn't been healthy. It hasn't been fruitful. It's been supported by a lot of different things to keep it afloat. And now that there is a viable possibility to try to get this company healthy, you kind of just got to grit your teeth and bear with it a little bit longer until the company is in a position where they are healthy, turning over profit. And then you can be like, all right, now WNBA, what are you going to do for the players?
Yeah. I just want to end it off with this before we move on. Of course, like you mentioned earlier, of course, the 9% of the salary percentage of the revenue
split
that goes to salary is very low. When you look at other leagues, like you look at MLB, NHL, NBA, they're around 50%. But again, like I know that's probably the main thing the WNBA players are looking at. Well, we only make 9% of the revenue share. But at the same time, if your percentage gets bumped up to 30%, right? How much more money are we actually going to have to
a league
pay, to pay arena staff, to pay for your travels, to play?
I mean, at that point,
I don't know. Like, I don't know the finances. That's why I'm asking. But like,
are the players going to provide their own transportation to games?
Exactly. Like,
are they going to are they going to pay for their own private jets to get to games? I don't know what they pay for their own. Are they going to pay their own training?
Yeah.
Like, what do the organizations cut back on?
It's a sticky and just weird situation to be in. And I agree with you. I'm all for them. I want them to be paid more. They deserve the money because they put on a great display of basketball. But again, I think the conversation is just that there's just no money there. It's not necessarily about not wanting to pay the women. It's just the money's not there.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's go back to the NBA and let's get into kind of the topics that we alluded to earlier in the halftime give and go. But let's talk about this one first. Bradley Beal is in LA with the Clippers. This team now has Bradley Beal, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Zubac, Brook Lopez, Chris Paul, Derrick Jones Jr., and a host of other players. Arguably, this team is very, very loaded. And it seems like a team that, if healthy, if everybody stays healthy, can be one of the best teams in the Western Conference. With the Bradley Beal addition, the Brook Lopez addition, the Chris Paul returning back to the LA Clippers, the trade, I forgot they traded for John Collins. Jesus, they are loaded.
Yes, yeah.
Wow, okay. I forgot that they did that deal. So yeah, with John Collins, What are the projections for the Los Angeles Clippers? Is this the year in the NBA of Adam Silver's NBA of ultimate parity that we finally see the Los Angeles Clippers become a championship organization for the first time in their non-illustrious franchise history? Is this the year that it happens?
You know, it's very possible. I think after the moves they've made this offseason,
Man,
I'm
I
sure
forgot John Collins.
I'm sure Vegas has them up there and betting odds as far as winning the NBA championship. And I can see why. I've loved the moves they've made. I think just to kind of my point is just going off of one of the things you said in your opening statement of this segment. Can they stay healthy? I think is the
Yes.
biggest picture. You know, you got guys over the age of 34, 35. That's past prime. Like we know in the NBA, of course, not in life, in the NBA.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, watch yourself.
yeah, like can James Harden still put on a great performance? You know, like is Chris Paul still going to be able to play at a decent level? You know what I mean? And like all these other guys that they're adding, I think that's the biggest question. And not just can they perform, but can they stay healthy? Because we know ultimately every single playoff series these past couple of years have come down to which team could really stay healthy and still perform at the highest level.
Yeah. I'm looking at it and I'm just gauging their starting lineup. And you have, what do you have? You got James at point guard. You got Bradley at 2, Kawhi at 3, John Collins at 4, and Zubas as your starting 5.
That's a sick starting lineup, man.
Man, that's tough.
That's sick.
That's tough.
You got scoring, you've got defense, you got rebounding.
Yeah, and then off the bench, you're bringing Chris Paul off the bench. You're bringing Bojan Bogdanovic off. I forgot they got him too. Oh my God, they are loaded. They got Bojan Bogdanovic at 2. They got Brook Lopez coming off the bench. I don't know. Derrick Jones Jr. is their 3. I don't know who their 4 is. I guess they have a chance to still keep Ben Simmons, bring him back, and if they're able to do that, then now
they still got Nick Batum too.
Oh, right. So wow,
Patty Mills is still on the team.
So then now your bench rotation is Chris Paul at point guard.
I guess technically they're both free agents. So is Ben Simmons, but I'm sure they could bring him back for a little.
Well, I'll say out of that 3, you're most likely bringing back Batum.
Chris Dunn still on the roster as well. Great defender off the bench.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. You may not even have to. I mean, Chris Paul just could be a mentor at this point.
Yeah.
Like you could just literally save him for the playoffs and the playoffs only. And so now I'm looking at their bench. You're thinking like, okay, Chris Dunn, Bojan Bogdanovic, Derrick Jones Jr. at 3, Batum at the stretch 4, and then you got Brook Lopez at 5. That's not a bad bench either. That's a good bench too.
Mm-hmm. No, this team's very deep.
This team is loaded. It's
a deep roster and it's star-studded as well.
Yeah, so. I'm going to say this. If they're healthy, if they stay healthy, I don't think there's a team that can beat them in the West.
No, I mean, they were our dark horse team last year, and I thought they were going to make a decent run in the playoffs.
And then Kawhi, who got hurt?
I forget, man.
I don't know. Did they get hurt or did they? I don't know. Maybe they just lost.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think maybe there was a little bit of a nagging injury to somebody, but who knows? Maybe they just lost.
But absolutely keep a lookout on LA this year.
Yeah,
not the Lakers.
Not the Lakers.
The Clippers.
Yeah, this team is loaded. All right. Enough on the Clippers. You ready to move on?
I think so.
All right, let's talk about Damian Lillard going back to Portland. I have some real thoughts about this.
If only y'all had him on Facebook.
I have some real thoughts about this. First and foremost, I just want to get the good stuff out the way before I get into my real feelings. Damian, I'm happy that you're able to go home. I'm sure your family is excited and happy that they're able to go home as well. I hope your rehab goes well. I understand that you're looking to, come back strong and everything, yada, yada, yada. And I hope all that goes well. But here's my true feelings. This is really some bitch ass shit that just happened. And I don't care what anybody says. And maybe this won't get YouTube to spin it if we clip this up, and they might not give no engagement for me saying that. But this is some hoe ass shit. Damian, you asked to get out of Portland because you thought that this team had no chance of winning. and you were trying to win a championship. Now, you didn't make a big deal because that's just not your style to make a big deal. But what was percolating was your feelings, and you were quietly requesting a trade. And we got the news. We got the alerts. Woj and Shams dropped the information and said Damian Lillard has, quietly requested a trade. The Portland Trail Blazers are looking for a suitor. And the whole time there was this leverage of trying to get you to Miami because that's where you wanted to go. Supposedly that's where you wanted to go. Jimmy Butler was high on getting Damian Lillard to Miami. That was a guy that he felt like could help him. It didn't happen. Milwaukee came in like a thief in the night, got you in Milwaukee, and it comes out now that you're saying that your agent is the one that propelled that and pushed that and said it was a good idea, but you wasn't necessarily so gung-ho about going to Milwaukee. And rightfully so, as it turned out, you had basketball reasons to believe so, because it didn't work out well with you and Giannis. And it's really because both you and Giannis need the ball. And if I'm Milwaukee, I didn't bring you over here to have the ball in your hand. I brought you over here to be a gun, to be a shooter, to be somebody that can space the floor and help out Giannis in that capacity. But that wasn't a role that you wanted to play. You're more suited to be a ball dominant player and have things ran through you because that's how you've been operating your entire career. And an illustrious career at that. You've been really, really great to watch. But sticking on the fact that you asked to be out and you want us to go to a championship team, you get to Milwaukee and you don't do everything you can to make it work there. You don't turn your game over. You don't adapt. You don't try to make it work with Giannis as best as possible. You don't pick up your defensive side of the game. And then you get hurt, get injuries, and then you start looking for an opportunity to get out. Now, I'm not saying that you went to Milwaukee and asked to get waived and asked for certain things. I'm not saying you went to them and told them to do it. But the information that's being relayed across the board just seems like there were some frustrations that were boiling over between you, Milwaukee, Giannis, and just the whole situation. And so whether or not you went to them directly and said, get me out here, there was a lot of indirect energy that was saying, hey, this ain't working out. Let's figure something out. And for that, I think that is whack as hell, because essentially you lied to the fans of Portland by saying that you were trying to win. You went to Milwaukee on the contract that you have that Portland gave you. Now Milwaukee is forced to pay you just to get rid of you so that they could create a better team around Giannis. Then you end up going right back to Portland, who is a team right now that still can't contend. And I don't give a damn what anybody is saying about, oh, the roster has gotten better. That roster ain't winning no damn championship. Whether Damian Lillard was healthy to play right now or if he comes back next season, that roster is good enough to be a little bit above the play-in at max. Now we're a believer in Jeremy Grant. You traded Anthony Simons, so you don't even have him anymore. So Drew Holiday is going to all of a sudden become the old Drew Holiday of the early Philadelphia 76ers days. I'm not saying that Drew don't still have a lot in the tank, but Jesus Christ, he's not finna be that at this age that he was.
Yeah.
I mean, that he is. So I don't understand this whole I'm trying to win, I wanted to win. All of it is bullshit. Because if you really wanted to win, you would have tried to make it work in Milwaukee playing next to a MVP level player and a guy who had already got it done. And if not, then you would have still tried to go to a team that has potential opportunity to win a championship. Now, granted, maybe Portland is the place in which your family feels good, but this is the NBA. Sometimes, if you're really about winning, sometimes everybody has to be uncomfortable. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Sometimes everybody has to be uncomfortable, and that includes wifey. That includes the kids. And somebody else might say, I'm full of shit. And they might say, no, you do what's best for your family. If they want to be here, boom, boom, F them rings. Who cares? Most NBA players end up having to pawn them off anyway after their career because they mess up a lot of their money. But that's a whole different conversation. But the point is, you said it was about winning. So I'm taking you at your word. And now it just seems like It has and will always be about the money. Dame Dollar. And so for that, in my opinion, this whole Milwaukee situation and the whole experience of you going back to Portland and that being the case is really some bitch ass hoe ass shit.
Yeah. I'll just end it off with just a couple of words. It definitely does just feel weird, this whole move. It didn't feel like as kind of like exciting as maybe people made it out to be. Like, oh, he's going back to Portland. Well, it didn't have like aura around it. You know what I mean? It was kind of just like another move, like another day. You know what I mean? And I will say though, like I'm not against this roster that they have. Like Dame, Scoot, Matisse Thybulle, Drew Holiday now. You still got Denny. You got Jeremy Grant. You still got Donovan Clingan as well. Shaden Sharp. Robert Williams, if he could stay healthy, is a decent player. City Suzuka. I mean, they've got some pieces. I think just the matter is, like, can these pieces actually compete together? Because they haven't been able to the past couple of years. So is that going to change anytime soon? Is that going to change because they brought in Dame and Drew? I don't know. I think it'd be a fun team to watch. Maybe Dame comes back later in the year, could kind of
No, he
give
ain't
them a
coming back to the
bolster.
next season. But my thing is, he said he wanted to win.
Yeah,
Coach.
yeah, I know. Yeah, and it is just a messed up situation. Saying you want to win, you go out like for what? He was 2 or 3 years there in Milwaukee, and then okay, yeah, I'll just come back. You know what I mean?
But the bad part about it is if you wanted to win, you had a chance to. You wanted to go home. You could have really went home.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, the guy that you wanted to play with, is in Golden State.
Yeah.
He's at your crib. If you really wanted to go home and play and like bring the family home now, somebody say, well, his home is Oakland, his family's home is Portland. Okay, fine. It ain't too far away. But my thing about it is, if it was really about winning, you had a chance to go to the Bay with Jimmy Butler, the same guy that you was willing to play with in Miami. What is it? You don't want to feel like you KD, you teamed up with Steph, and that's why you got a ring? Oh, so egos.
It definitely could be with him. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
be
that's what it is.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It would be a big. It'd be a big ego because Steph is in Oakland, or he was in Oakland. He took over the Bay. It's like how Isaiah Thomas still hates Michael Jordan.
Right. Yeah.
You know, this is Chicago is Isaiah's city, but Michael is the man in the city. Right.
Exactly.
Damian Lillard, Oakland, and the whole Bay Area is his city, his town. But Steph is really the guy in town.
Yeah, Steph's the mayor.
Steph's the mayor.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that what it really is? You don't want to be a part of that because you don't want to, but it is what it is. All I'm going to say is, I just feel like from the reasons that he gave, going back to Portland was a real bitch out move. It was a real hoe ass move. I think he could have had an opportunity to stand on his word and really go to a contender. And maybe he feels like he's going to make the Trailblazers a winning team now. Maybe he picked up some juju. Maybe he picked up some juice from Giannis in Milwaukee and he's going to bring that back to Portland. Maybe he learned something and then he's going to be able to accomplish it on his own in Portland. Because I guess arguably one championship in Portland for Dame would be like the one championship Giannis got in Milwaukee. You would be a made man. So maybe that's how he's looking at it. So we'll see. Time will tell. You believe the roster is fair enough to compete with when he comes back. I don't believe it, but time will tell. It is what it is. I'm just going to say, Dame, if this was what was going to happen, you could have just stayed your ass in Portland the whole time.
Yeah, true. I like the take. And that being said, let's move on to the last segment of the show, a new segment, a little bit more interactive with you guys that are commenting. The halftime quotables.
Yes.
Let's get that pulled up on the screen and
yes,
let's see what we got from this week. It is from TikTok. Let me just get it pulled up on my end so we could respond directly.
Yeah, we can get it pulled up on the screen. I think we could probably read it.
That as well.
Because
we'll get that graphic pulled up in just a second, but it's from Harley Quinn, but not spelled the correct way. Low-hanging fruit, but it's not PG's fault he can't stay healthy. This is from our Paul George conversation last week. It's Daryl Morey's fault for having a boner for him for no reason and going behind MB's and Maxi's back to choose PG over one of the literal top 5 scorers of the decade. Quote, needs to have a better year needs to have the best year of his career, end quote, is psychotic. Sixers just need a GM with a brand. Quick, coach, what do you think about that?
Um, First of all, Harley Quinn, shout out to you for leaving a great comment. Obviously, we thought it was something that we could respond to. Not should, but could respond to because it had a lot of meat and potatoes in there. First, I'm gonna say this. Um, to say that PG needs to have the best year of his career is psychotic is asinine from you, and it makes no sense. If you think that after everything that Paul George has put the 76ers fans through, if you think after everything the media has said about him going from playoff P to podcast P to tragic P
The pandemic
to
P.
pandemic P, if you don't think that all of those things have mounted a certain level of pressure and also taken a certain level of lore away from his legacy and away from his name, then you are foolish. Yes, he needs to have one of the best years of his career. I say the best year of his career because that's what it's going to take if the Philadelphia 76ers are going to have a chance to compete in the East and get out of the East for a championship, because make no quarrels about it, that's all that the Philadelphia 76ers are saying is supposed to be happening in Philly. They're not satisfied with getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. With the fact that MVP Embiid is that type of player, that caliber of player. The fact that Tyrese Maxey is a rising all-star in the NBA. The fact that Paul George was a former all-star and has shown consistent ability to be a 20-point per game scorer year in and year out and be able to hit big shots as well. There's no reason why this three-headed monster that the Philadelphia 76ers have shouldn't be a team that gets out of the East, especially this year with the fact that you have Indiana down, Boston down, Orlando is still an asterisk as to what they can be, Boston is down, Milwaukee is still trying to find out if the team that they put together is going to be competitive enough. Really, the only team that's going to be in Philadelphia's way considerably would be the teams like Cleveland and who else would you say in the East? New York,
Yeah.
potentially. Those are really the teams that are solidified as to there not being any question marks on what they can bring to the table and what kind of dominant force they can be. So outside of New York and outside of Cleveland, yeah, Philadelphia fans are saying if we're healthy, which we should be coming into this season, there's no reason why we shouldn't be a team that wins a championship or at least gets out of the East. So that's first things first. Daryl Morey is just doing his job. Daryl Morey has been doing the same thing he's been doing since he been a GM. Collect stars. That's what he does. He collects stars, puts them on the roster, and says, with all the talent that we have on this roster, we should win. And arguably, you can say he's right. If I got Chris Paul, if I got James Harden, and I got a young Clint Capella, if I got Russell Westbrook, if I got James Harden, and I bring Carmelo over here, or whatever case may be, I should be thinking we have enough talent to win big. It's the same thing that happened in Brooklyn. If I got James Harden, if I got Kyrie Irving, if I got KD, are we supposed to sit here and say, yeah, we're going to be a play-in team? This is enough talent to be a number 7 seed? No. In no world is that going to be your reality as a GM putting these type of players together. Now, it still has to materialize. The coaches still have to do their job. The players still have to do their job. But as a GM, you can arguably say Daryl Morey is doing a great job. He's getting great talent, and he's putting them on the floor. He's putting them on the roster. I don't know what you want from him. He ain't playing. Like Michael Jordan said, it don't matter what they doing in the front office. We still got to make the shots. So at the end of the day, Paul George got to get the job done. And B got to stay healthy and get the job done. Tyrese Maxey has to grow and get the job done. That's the reality. So to you, Harley Quinn, I say reevaluate what you think a basketball franchise is supposed to do and look like, and reevaluate what you think a GM is supposed to do. Because clearly one of those two things you have fucked up. So, I don't know. I don't know how old you are, but if you're old enough to take a shot and smoke one, do it. So that way you can get some clarity.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. No, the comment was a little confusing to me. It was funny to me, and it was like a hard take, so that's why I decided to include it. And shout out to you for leaving the comment in the first place. Yeah, coach, I agree with you. Like there's no excuse for this team not to perform. I don't know what he means by it's not PG's fault he can't stay healthy. Like what is that supposed to mean? Like it's Daryl Morey's fault is what he was inclining. So
no, it's God's fault. He just made PG injury prone.
Yeah, I guess. So just a little confusing. You could tell the guy's a 76ers fan.
Yeah, a little bit.
So by the way he's talking, the way he's defending his team, I get it. I defend my team too, but just maybe not with that much delusion.
Yeah.
But thank you for the comment, though.
Yeah. Is that all you got for Harley?
That's all I got from Harley Quinn. You pretty much just said all
let me take off. That's fine. All right, Coach, what episode is this again?
Episode 43.
43, and we want to remind you guys yet again to follow me and Coach. You can follow Coach at Coach KDZ, and you can follow me at Coach M_Got It. Again, for me, Coach Malcolm, that's Coach M_Got It, and for Coach Conrad, that's Coach KDZ. As well, we want to remind you again to follow and subscribe to our YouTube at the Halftime Pod. We need you to click them notification bells, and we need our subscribers up. Right now, we're a little bit below 200 subscribers. So we got to get over that benchmark and keep climbing and keep climbing and keep climbing. We're almost there.
We're at like 197.
We're almost there. So we got to get there. We got to keep going. We got to keep climbing so we can continue to provide you the best sports coverage on all digital platforms. Coach, you got anything else that you want to ride out with before we let the good people go?
Yeah, man. Appreciate all the support, as always, on all of our platforms. I'm going to Bears training camp the 25th and the 31st. If you're going to be there, let me know. We could link up. We could do a little something for the halftime pod. You're going to be there with me on the 31st, so
that
maybe we can have a little halftime...
little halftime pod Patreon special.
Yeah, we could figure out a little topic name for that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all for leaving comments and supporting us as always. And hopefully, some of you Bears fans, I can see you guys at the training camp.
All right, as always, you know how we rock out and roll. It's See Red and Bear Down, baby. Yeah.